Good morning and welcome back to my channel. Today is the very first video that I'm going to be taking you guys around to give you a tour of my garden. I am so excited to show you guys what I've got going on so far. So without further ado, let's get started.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know.
Just look at these roses, like they are huge. Wow, gigantic roses. There's pink, there's like a peachy color, and there's red roses.
I will keep on searching for my highs.
They're so nice.
You can say I lost
Beautiful.
my mind. I will keep on holding
And over here, I had started these sunflowers in small pots. I think it was on March the 6th. And I didn't really know what else to do with them. These are the mammoth sunflowers. And as you can tell, they are just below my stairs here. Didn't know what else to do with them, so basically by the stairs I had loosened up the soil and then just planted them in there. Hopefully they will turn into something beautiful. So far they're doing really well and they look super healthy, so I'm pretty proud of them. Yeah, not forming heads yet, but soon enough that will happen too, hopefully. And then just over here in my front yard, I snuck in a few little mammoth sunflower seeds into little patches into the grass by the sidewalk. So far they're doing pretty healthy. Can't complain. So we'll see how they end up growing and if they end up staying happy and healthy. Hold on, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I have six of them. Beautiful. Alright, moving on. Oh, and this is one of the small sunflowers that I started in this pot, and it is now officially full-blown beautiful. I started this on March the 6th. And it is so far loving it. Like, it's in a tiny pot and it is just thriving. And these are the flowers on our stairs that we just bought from a local greenhouse, and it makes the front of the house just smell and look beautiful. Absolutely love this one. The mixture of the flowers, so pretty. Part of this garden is still in shade because it's still very early in the morning. Here is my front arched trellis that I'm going to have pole beans climbing up. And on my arched trellis I did a little bit of painting, a little bit of craftiness. I feel like these phrases completely represent what I'm all about. Okay, and in the front of my garden I have 4 zucchinis in containers. This one I didn't start from seed, I bought this from a nursery, but the other 2 zucchinis I started from seed. This one I started from seed, and as you can see over here, it's already growing a zucchini. And it's got a couple more here that are going to be opening their flowers soon. Another one here and another one here. And in this garden I have green beans, bush beans, and all around the garden I have green onions. We bought way too many onion bulbs and we didn't really know what else to do with them, so instead of wasting them and throwing them out, we tried to just plant them into every little tiny space that was left in the garden, and along the garden edges really nothing else grows, so we found that was a perfect way to use them up. And over here we have my pole beans. I believe these are yellow pole beans. That is going to be growing up the front arch trellis. And beside the pole beans on the other side of the trellis, I have 2 rows of kale growing. So this garden bed is going to be green beans, and this garden bed is going to be yellow beans. And I'm going to have more beans growing up this trellis. And this trellis, I'm hoping to actually grow a sugar baby watermelon. And that is the mini-sized watermelons. And I have 2 of them, 1 on each side of the trellis. Last year, I tried to grow watermelon, but I started it too late, so I actually didn't end up having enough time and enough warmth of weather for it to like turn into anything, unfortunately. Okay, and in the garden bed across from the beans, I have my tomato bed. And in my tomato bed, I have 8 Roma tomatoes. And between my 8 Roma tomatoes, I also have 3 long rows of spinach and onions all around the garden bed once again. And I only have 8 Roma tomatoes planted in this garden because last year I swear I planted only about 8 or 10 of these tomatoes, and I didn't do a very good job of pruning them, so they kind of took over my garden and they became a tomato forest. So yeah, although considering how crammed they were, they did actually pretty good on production. And they did pretty good on disease control too. Usually when you overcrowd your garden with tomatoes, they are more prone to diseases, and therefore your production will be significantly less and worse. So, but they did pretty good considering. It was just very, very bushy and very foresty. So I'm expecting that to happen again this year. And beside my yellow bean bed, I have 3, 6, 9, I have 12 pots of miniature Roma tomatoes. They're called Little Napoli tomatoes, and they're a potted variety. And last year I grew this kind, and it really produced quite a bit. It worked out for me very well. So this year I'm doing twice as much as last year. Can't wait to see how lush everything will be in a couple months of time. It's going to be so beautiful. Look at how small it is now, and just you wait, in a couple more months everything's going to be so lush. Okay, and beside my potted tomatoes, I have 2 smaller garden beds, 4 feet by 4 feet. And in this one, over here, I've got 2 buttercup squashes. They are a summer squash. They're a smaller circular green squash. And between it, I have beets. And beside the beets, I have butternut squashes. And beside this garden bed, I've got 4 more butternut squashes, making 6 in total. And between the butternut squashes, I have 3 smaller rows of spinach. Again, I guess you can say I'm kind of obsessed with spinach. As weird as that sounds. My original plan with the butternut squashes was to train them to climb up this trellis here. It might be a lot more easier said than done. So my plan B, if that doesn't work out, is to let them run alongside the ground here and let them spread out as much as they want. So the reason that I have that tarp there is because the ground originally had a bunch of gravel, and between the gravel a lot of weeds had started growing, so I'm using the tarp to kill off all the weeds to hopefully give the butternut squash a more clean area to spread out on. And across from my butternut squashes in this garden bed is basically my lettuce bed. My lettuce, onion, and some more beans. So this row here, this is red onion. Over here I've got pole beans sprouting, yellow and green. And over here I've got iceberg lettuce. And I'm actually hoping that I'll have enough time of cooler season for my iceberg lettuce to come to maturity, because last year I started them too late. So I'm hoping that's not the case this time around. Beside my iceberg lettuce, I have just regular green onions growing. And beside my green onions, that row of lettuce is butterhead lettuce. It's my mom's favorite, so I planted a nice long row of butterhead lettuce just for her. And beside the butterhead lettuce, I've got yellow onion growing, I believe. Yellow onion and then romaine lettuce. So yeah, quite the variety here. And in the end over there, I've just got a couple of beets. I wanted to try an experiment and grow some mammoth sunflowers alongside of this lettuce bed, but they don't seem to be doing too well for some reason. It might just be the lack of sun. So I might just end up ripping these out because they're just wasting energy and nutrients from this garden anyway. So in my lettuce bed over there, the green and yellow beans that I told you about are going to be going up this arch trellis here. And on the other side of this trellis, I have 3 cherry-like tomatoes. They're interesting because I've never grown these 3 varieties before. But one of them is called Chocolate Sprinkles. And it's just a mixture in color between brownish red. And the one beside that is just a regular red cherry tomato. Look, it's already starting to get little flower bulbs on them. And the one over here is interesting because it's basically looks like it is going to be black on the top and red on the bottom. And it's called Midnight Snack. That's gonna be cool. And in between my tomatoes, I have a really small row of kale just sprouting. I don't know if you guys can see it. And beside my kale, I have 3 more little Napoli tomatoes. I ran out of pots, so I decided to put them in this garden bed here. And then over here, my mom planted buttercup squash, more of those. And she's determined to run them either up this trellis here or run them alongside of this tree. So we'll see how that goes. This is my mom's garden here. She has 6 Savoy cabbages, some cauliflower, broccoli, and on the end there she's got some red cabbages. They look super healthy. Wow, very lush. Oh, and alongside of this garden bed, she's got slicing English cucumber that she plans to run along this fence here. That's gonna be pretty cool. This fence is bare now, but we'll see in a couple months what it's gonna look like. It'll be so nice. And in these pots, I've got basil. This is thyme that I had from last year. It survived the winter, and I guess it's flowering now for some reason. Not too sure why. And some more dill. Over there, over there, over there, and basil. And I've got 2 large pots of mint. Now this is really cool. Mint is actually so practical if it is grown in a pot, because it is literally impossible to kill. Okay, well, I wouldn't quite say impossible. So funny story, last year I asked my sister for a mint plant because she had so much, and she's tried to kill it over and over, and it would just keep coming back stronger than ever, stronger than the first time she tried to kill it, or the second time she tried to kill it. And so I asked her for some because like I didn't have luck growing it from seed for some reason. So she gave me a piece of her mint plant and I put it in a cup of water for it to grow some roots. And it did. So after it grew some roots, I placed it in a fresh pot with soil, fresh soil, and in hopes that it would spread out and become lush and beautiful. Well, didn't quite happen that way. I'm not too sure why. It ended up dying on me, so yeah, so then I went back to her and I asked her for another plant in hopes that that one will survive. And she kind of laughed at me, but she gave me another plant and I did the same thing with that one. And that one died again. So the second time around. Third time around, I went back again. She's like thinking I'm ridiculous by this time. But I got my third plant and I don't know, finally I managed to get that one to stay alive, and that one actually spread out and produced a bunch of mints. So I gave my mom a piece of my mint and she was able to make it survive too, and then we ended up with 2 big pots of mint. But yeah, mint is super practical if it's grown in a pot because it won't spread ridiculously throughout your garden, and most normal people have a really hard time to kill mint. So if you're not normal like me, I guess, and you kill mint and it takes you 3 tries, 4 tries basically to finally get a pot of mint, then yeah, you should be good. We like to just dry them up and use them as tea. Store them away for the winter. Alright, moving on to my potato and peas and spinach bed. Now if you missed this video, I made a vlog of me and the kids planting this garden bed on April 1st. So from April 1st to May 20th, this is the progress that it has made. I have already so far harvested from this spinach twice, and this is going to be my 3rd time harvesting from this spinach. It is, however, starting to bolt and go to seed, and it is also overcrowding my garden bed for my potatoes that also need to be mounded. So tomorrow I'm going to be harvesting the spinach and also yanking it out of my garden so that I have enough space to mound my potatoes, because I am running out of time. Look at that, my potatoes already have little flower bulbs on them. I can't even believe it. I feel like that's just so soon, but I don't know. So my potatoes have flower bulbs and it's super healthy. Everything is going well with them. And my spinach has done its job and it has produced quite a bit. And if I had all the unlimited space in the world, I would let this spinach run wild and go to seed and collect its seed for the next year. Actually, what's cool about this spinach, I know, I'll ramble on about spinach all day to you guys, is I actually planted these from the seeds that I saved from last year. And I haven't had to buy any store-bought spinach seeds this year at all. And all of the spinach that I did plant this year was from the ones that I harvested. It's pretty cool. Didn't have to spend a single penny. And then this is my sugar snap pole peas that I am training up a trellis. They grow to about 6 to 7 feet tall. Pretty rocks that I painted last year for my garden that I usually keep right there just for a little character. Why not? This one's my favorite here. It adds such beauty and uniqueness. Although my potato plant covers it, so whatever. Okay, and over here I have my pickling cucumbers growing. They're all pickling cucumbers. Beautiful. Between my pickling cucumbers that are growing pretty good, I have radishes. And they are already ready to harvest. I'm just waiting until our fridge is empty of the radishes that we already have in there because, yeah, we don't want to waste any. So, wow, look at this one. This one's so pretty. Yeah, beautiful. Look at that one. Inside of the trellis, I have white Asian radishes growing, but they haven't started growing any roots yet, so even though their leaves look huge, they're definitely not anywhere near close to being harvested, unfortunately. Just looks like I've got a bunch of weeds in my garden, although I assure you that's not the case. And yeah, more cucumbers here. These are doing nice. They look pretty healthy. More red radishes here, as you can see. Alright, and in the garden next to my pickling cucumbers, I've got three or four different kinds of pepper plants. I've got mini mix bell peppers. It's a mini colorful bell pepper, and then I have a green bell pepper. I have sweet banana peppers. I've got about 32 in here. And beside my peppers, I have 4 pots of romaine lettuces that I have saved from my other garden when I was thinning the lettuce. And I just put some in pots, and I sold some on the bidding site so that they don't go to waste. And beside the lettuce pots, I've got 6 celeries in massive pots as well. Celery, they are called tango celery. And I've got 1 cabbage plant here, green cabbage. And over here, I've got a bunch of carrots in pots. And they are just tiny, tiny little sprouted carrots right now. All the way down. I think I've got about 40 carrots in these pots here. And this is my mom's garden. I don't exactly know what she's got planted here. And this one that is across from the peppers, I've got a bunch of beets. Beets and purple and green kohlrabis. For anyone that's not familiar with kohlrabi, it is a turnip-like plant that taste is between a cabbage and a broccoli stem flavor. And they're super good in like salads, soups, stews, like anything. This one is like probably the biggest one I have here. This purple kohlrabi. It's beautiful. It's so pretty. I'm sure it's just gonna get even more prettier as time goes on. And beside my kohlrabi, I have a type of radish that is called white icicle radish. And they're already growing roots, sorta. They're here. They look really pretty. Okay. And I've got just a half garden bed row of them. They're not all growing roots just yet, but some of them are. And beside my kohlrabi bed, I have another garden bed. As you can see, it's got 4 long bushy rows of spinach. And in between my spinach, I've got 9 green cabbage plants. I started these cabbage plants on April 12th, and they're doing good. So far, so good. So half of it is cabbage, and the other half is garlic. I originally planted 90 heads of garlic, and for some reason, only about 75 to 80% of the garlic had sprouted. So that's alright. It is what it is, but at least I get some garlic. It's called Russian red garlic. Oh, as you can see over here, my beans are starting to sprout finally. Yay! Over there. Over there. Beaut. This spinach is going to get harvested tomorrow. And probably frozen, because there's no way we can eat all that in one dose. And this is my pepper plant that I had planted into a shopping bag, and it's doing pretty good so far. I decorated it with my painted bugs, my snail and my bumblebee, just to make it extra friendly. And then my ladybug family. They're so cute. Oh, and this is where my little one plays while I garden, or he can play in the yard with the other ones. I had a lot of fun taking you guys around to show you my spring garden, and if you enjoyed seeing what you did today, then don't forget to give me a thumbs up on my video, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, as it really supports me and motivates me to make more and more videos. I will see you guys again in 1 or 2 months of time to show you my progress. See you guys again soon, and take care until then. Bye!